allows students to get to trade their spring break for experience in a variety of different types of libraries and different types of jobs. Um, and so this is my story. I applied to the program because I didn't have any experience at all in the library. This is a second career for me. And I wanted to get my feet wet a little and check out some of my interests, which I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my degree, and that was a great opportunity to check out one of the areas I had an interest, and also to meet professionals and network. And a week is a really short commitment. I think, you know, if you can do it over your spring break, it's a really good opportunity to. So the one I was most excited about was the opportunity to work in the special collections and archives at the D. Smith Reynolds Library at Wake Forest. And I was really lucky that I was placed there. I had a little woohoo moment. It was very exciting. Well, it was close, and archives interested me, but there was also this sort of cloud of mystery for me around it. So I really wanted to kind of check it out. And so day one, these are the wonderful people that were supervising us. The first day, we were given a tour and coloring books and bookmarks and things like that from Tanya. And then she handed us over to Stephanie, who gave us a tour of the rest of, you know, where we were going to be working, and introduced us to what someone had nicknamed the Room of Doom, where we were going to be spending our week working. So we keep going. Okay. So this is the Room of Doom after. Before, and it's only, of course, a very small part of it, but before, just boxes everywhere, stacks of boxes on the floor. There had been water damage. Some of them were, you know, crumpled. There was fallen ceiling. It was, and they have a backlog of materials that they wanted to be inventoried. They are doing improvements to the library coming up, so they wanted to make sure to have everything in order. So I was paired with Samantha Barderick. We worked together for the week, and our job was basically to inventory the boxes, to go through them all, and Stephanie had set up Google Forms for us to fill out that populated a spreadsheet so that they could, you know what was in every box, as well as the dates and if they had accession numbers. So we pulled out these very heavy boxes and brought them to a room. And for the most part, Sam did the work in the computer, and I pulled out the rubber gloves and got into the boxes. And it was a very interesting process. It was great because Stephanie was there in the same room as us, doing her own work, but completely available whenever we had questions or, you know, just anything came up. So it was very exciting. I quickly felt like Nancy Drew going through the boxes. Sometimes they were labeled, and what it said it was exactly what it was. Sometimes completely different materials are in the boxes. Sometimes it was really difficult to tell why all those materials were together in that box, like what it was that they had in common. It was very tricky. It was obvious sometimes and sometimes not. Sometimes we even ended up doing Google searches. We found out that one box we were completely mystified by was actually publications from staff, from faculty. So there was a lot of investigative work in there, and we learned a lot too about how I'm putting them into the systems. Like whatever you do, that's someone else is going to have to is going to have to live with that later. And we found a lot of we found a box that said like a lot of random stuff. I have no idea what's in this. Like, oh, that's really helpful. And Stephanie, she would say this phrase over and over when these things would happen, which are people are monsters, which is a huge thing I've taken, one of my takeaways from this. But yes, they're monsters. We also did a little bit of weeding and consolidating of boxes. We pulled out a lot of sensitive information, things with social security numbers and a lot of records, and put them for confidential shredding. On the last day, we worked a little bit on our last few hours of creating a finding aid of just sort of kind of orienting us in what that was about and how to go about it and the language that needs to be used for it. Again, Sam was mostly inputting everything into the computer, and I apparently like to be really hands-on, so I was going through all the materials in the box. Really, like there were a lot of issues that would come up about, that Stephanie was there to help us with questions about what is the difference between a manuscript and a record. When there was a paper, and one of us had marked it for shredding because it had a social security number on it, but it was a paper. It was that wasn't anywhere else, so she held on to it. So it seemed in some cases like, you go through it, you do your best detective work, you do your best research, and you just do the best you can. Sometimes, you're not going to have it perfectly, but you just try your best. I think we can move on to the next slide. So this is just a list of some of my favorite things that I came across. One of my problems with this was that, and one of the reasons I volunteered to go through the box is it was like treasure, and it was sometimes I would, especially with this pile of ID cards, I was so fascinated with it. Also with the letters and photos from the students serving in World War II, it's fascinating, and to just sort of like dive into a box of history, and I would find something, I would be so excited, like, look at this pamphlet I found, and Sam would be like, and put in the information. I'm like, all right, I'll get that on task. But I could easily see just kind of falling down a rabbit hole of history and interesting documents. Yes, we had T-shirts. There was plastic footballs. I think Pizza Hut or something cups like that. So there was a lot of fun stuff. A dead spider was also in there. Lots of rotted rubber bands. All right. And so these are my takeaways from the Room of Doom, some of which I sort of already covered. Very dangerous for me, get easily distracted. And there were many things that we didn't know where they would eventually end up. I mean, that wasn't really our job. Our job was just to say what they were so they could figure that out later. But in talking to Stephanie, I mean, some of it wasn't going to stay in their collection. Some of it wasn't what they kept. So, and there is some detective work involved. Yeah, everyone has terrible handwriting. It's true. I felt a lot better with that. We were using Archivist Toolkit. That's what we would look at when a box did have an accession number. and she said they were switching over in a year or so, I don't know if that long, to another program, which I don't remember, but it seems that from what Stephanie was saying, that really, like, sometimes there are trade-offs, and the new one was supposed to be easier for people to see what was put in, more easily searchable or something, but that there were trade-offs in using that too. So, and I've heard a lot about the mysteries of software for archives. And yeah, I really did. I had a great time there, and really am interested in pursuing further opportunities in archives and really just seeing the different ways, the different ways that manifest. I mean, every institution they have a different type of collection, so, and there are different types of work. So I'm really interested in that. I don't know if there's so that's it for me. So
any questions?
Any questions?
We have a minute for a couple.
Cool.
Do you have any?
I don't think it's dangerous to fall down the hole. I think that's why you're there. I think it's fun.
I would get that look from her, and I'm like, I know we went through over like 180 record partners, so we did have quite a bit of work to do.
Do you think a week was long enough to make a significant impact both on the institution and for it to have an impact on you?
We cleaned up that room. We did all the work, the basic work I think that they needed us for. There would have been more work for us to do had we stayed longer. And same for, I think we could have benefited more if we could have, because we basically did more or less the same thing the whole time since there was so much to go through. Like I said, we had just a lasting experience with finding aid, and it would have been nice to have a little bit more time to kind of understand that. So yeah, I mean, it was great. We definitely could have had some more time, but I think we were able to accomplish that, and we did have.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So have you taken the archives management class yet?
I have not.
Okay.
No.
Do you think that we should have limited that experience to somebody who has taken that class?
I think it would of course, someone who had taken that class, you know, I just don't know, because I can see the case for that, but also, you know, I learned a lot. I'm really glad I took it, and it furthered my interest. You know, I might take that class when I might not have before. I think it still made an impact on me and potentially on my decisions in the future. So, cool. Thank you.